Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 74 of the Playoff Push podcast. I'm your host, Jack Dobbins, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, former Major League Baseball All-Star and relief pitcher, Shane Greene. How we doing?
What's up, brother? We're doing good, man. We're in the beautiful state of Florida. It's a little chilly, but we got sunshine with the cold, so it's nice.
What are we talking about when you say a little chilly?
Well, over the weekend it got down into my car said 26 and it had a little
Okay.
snowflake on it. I didn't even know my car did the snowflake. But now it's back to like 50, so we're good.
Yeah, it's pretty cold for Florida, but up here in Pennsylvania, it's not much nicer, if at all.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I just told you about this, but I started watching baseball in 2014. Yankee fan my whole life, and you made your debut in 2014 with the Yankees. So the same time I started watching ball was when you started playing in the big leagues. I just want to lead off with just you going through that first year in New York. You started off your career in the Big Apple with the most popular sports team in arguably the entire world. What was the pressure like?
Coming up through the Yankee system, we put the players on a pedestal. Like Derek Jeter, I just was watching him play my whole life. And then now I'm in an organization with an opportunity to maybe play with him. So I had all of those guys on such a pedestal. And then you go to big league spring training and you get into the locker room and it's like you get into this weird space where it's just another locker room with a bunch of ball players. And then you'll like come to and be like, oh, there's Jeter and there's Mariano Rivera and there's Andy Pettit over there and Teixeira's over there. So I was like, for me, the pressure was more like, don't be an idiot by being starstruck. Like it's the same game, it's the same kind of thing. Like they're your teammates instead of being like a fanboy. You know what I mean? Like that
Exactly.
for me, I had more pressure that way than like on the field because on the field, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, your debut is crazy. Like the emotions, you'll never live that moment again. But once you're on the field, like it's the same game. So like once I was blacked out, like competing, I didn't feel the pressure really, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Totally get it. And in that first year, you were actually a starting pitcher before transitioning to
Mhm.
reliever a few years later. At the top of that 2014 Yankee staff were two foreign pitchers, Hiroki Kuruda and Masahiro Tanaka. When it comes to foreign players, when it comes to playing alongside two guys like Masahiro and Hiroki, what did they teach you about the culture of baseball from across the world?
Um, Great question. When I like I just said, like when I first got to the big leagues, I was like very quiet. Like my only rule for myself was be seen, not heard. And if Jeter wasn't just sitting at his locker, I wasn't allowed to just be sitting at mine. So I was very much like in my own world. But I will say Kuroda bought me my first suit. Like
Really?
that's who bought me my first suit, my first big league suits. And more than anything, just watching them play. Like again, I was extremely blessed to be in a locker room with like enormous names and just watching those guys like go throughout their day and go about their business. Like I learned from every player in the locker room. Those guys are very like robotic almost on their start day, if that makes sense. Like
Hmm.
I'll never forget seeing Kuroda on his start day. He would be and like they would be setting up his area like in the tunnel with his cooler with waters and bananas, and like that's where he sat. And I had never seen anything like that before. In AAA, you just sit in the dugout. You know what I mean? So um, it's very for them. It felt like very business.
Both from Japan. So
Mhm.
obviously that's probably the second or third biggest baseball country in the world between the Dominican Republic, I'd say, and Japan, either in that two or three slot. Something about those Japanese arms is they typically pitch in a very different style than the American arms. American arms usually fastball, slider, curve, changeup, something like that. But they throw like a ton of random pitches that you never see Americans naturally throw. Kuroda more so threw a shudo. What about their pitching styles did you really take from them, considering how different the arsenals were between different cultures?
More than anything, like they'll just throw anything. They'll throw anything anytime, which is like how you are successful at the major league level. You know, you can't allow the count to tell you what to throw. You have to let the hitter tell you what to throw. I mean, you said it, their arsenals are a little bit different. Their style of pitching is a little bit different. I think that now in the game now that we play, like um, they're a little bit more similar. Like they're starting to mesh because it's obvious that they're doing something right over there. So I think that some of their ways have kind of leaked into American baseball as well, with the arsenals and the pitch grips and all that kind of stuff. Even like some of the deliveries, they're still pretty like unique in how they throw compared to how like the American player would throw. But overall, I think it's starting to mesh a little bit.
You had a very interesting development with your arsenal. You started out with kind of more of like a sinker slider type of combo, and over time, that sinker kind of developed more into a cutter in terms of usage. What was that transition like? Because when I think relief pitcher, I think cutter. Was that the reasoning behind it, or was there more to it?
No, so what happened was this is kind of a long story, but when I was coming up through the minor league starting, I lost my like my original OG slider that I had in high school. I
Ooh.
lost it. It was gone. It was gone. Like I had no idea where it had gone. I couldn't throw a breaking ball. And my teammate at the time was Caleb Cotham, who is now the pitching coach in the show for the Phillies,
Mm.
and we were throwing partners. He was in the rotation with me in high A, and I was telling him like, "Yo, my slider's gone." And so we started talking about it. He's like, "Hey, try this grip," and he showed me a cutter grip, and I threw it, and like it went left. And at the time, I had nothing that could go left, and it went left right away. So I'm like, I'm taking this into the game with me tomorrow. So for the next like 2 or 3 weeks during my starts, that was the pitch that I used as my slider, and then in the
Mm.
bullpen. I kept trying to find my original grip, and then it finally came back. Well, when it came back, the speed differential was big enough to be able to throw both. So I just called the one he taught me a cutter, and then
Whoa.
the one that I originally had was my slider. And then fast forward to starting in the big leagues, mostly sinkers. The cutter was there, but the cutter at that time, I was using it more like you've seen my slider a couple times. I'm going to give you something that's a little harder, and now we're in a fastball count. I didn't use it that much. Then when I got into the bullpen, it became like an extreme weapon, especially against lefties. And I also think it started to get a little harder, and that helped too. But the that cutter grip is actually was taught to me by Caleb Cotham, who's the pitching coach for the Phillies now. It's not like I stopped throwing my sinker, but nobody swings and misses at my sinker. And when you're pitching in the seventh, eighth, ninth inning with the game on the line, you're not necessarily trying to put the ball in play if you got a guy at second base. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
I used my sinker more strategically as a reliever. So it just so happened that I threw my cutter more often.
And a year where your pitch was probably very mixed. I believe it was around 45% for the sinker, 30% for the cutter, and 20% for the slider. Was your 2019 season, where I don't think it's even debatable that's your best year by a
Mhm.
long shot. You set a major league record, becoming the first player in major league history to earn 7 saves in his team's first 10 games of a season. Did you know you were doing that during the game, or was that something you found out later?
A little small correction. I ended up doing eight, and I did eight. So I
Really?
broke the record. I broke the record and set it at seven, and then I got another save like the next day.
No way.
So the record went to eight. But the day that I broke the record was my dad's birthday, and my whole entire life, if I play on my dad's birthday, like something crazy happens. It's just always kind of been that way. And that day it was breaking the record, but I didn't know. I did know that I was on a good run, like even as a team to have, 7 wins in the first 10 games is pretty good. And for all of those to be save opportunities and then me to get the job done, like I knew I was doing something pretty special, but I had no idea that I was going for a record.
And going through that season, did anything click better to you that resulted in the All-Star appearance, or was it just the same feel just happened to work better?
Um, the biggest thing for me that year was I finally like I guess the best way to explain it is I finally like figured out who I am, and I was no longer like trying to make anybody else happy based off of the things I was doing or trying. It was just like go get the job done. Like go be Shane and go get it done. And so there was less like try hard and more just compete. And if I'm in compete mode, that's when I'm really, really good. If I'm out there thinking or overthinking or like trying to do something that's not me, it's not gonna. You might as well just come get the ball from me. So, um, I also had a lot of opportunities to only pitch in safe situations that year. Gardenhire basically told me like, hey, even if you haven't pitched in 5 or 6 days, like you're not going to pitch unless it's a safe situation because we're not winning right now, and I can't
Hmm.
afford it for you to pitch in the eighth or in the ninth in a tie game, and then we get an opportunity to win and we don't have anybody. So, uh, like I said before, like when I'm blacked out compete mode, I'm pretty good, and if I'm in a safe situation, the atmosphere of the game automatically puts me in that mental state, you know. So it was easier for me to perform that way.
I've never heard that before, where a manager withdraws a pitcher excluding save opportunities. Have you heard of that outside of yourself?
Not really. I mean, it was more like if we were on the road, like as a closer, if you haven't pitched in, 3 or 4 days, 4 or 5 days, and you're on the road, like you might pitch the bottom of or yeah, you might pitch the bottom of the eighth down because if you guys don't score in the top of the ninth, you're not going to pitch again, and now you haven't pitched in a week. Right. So it's like one of those things where the manager will communicate that with you before the game or maybe earlier in the series, like, hey, just a heads up, if you don't pitch tomorrow, then the next day you'll probably have the eighth no matter what kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, but in that scenario, he told me like, you're not pitching. So I would go 6 or 7 days without pitching. And I would throw the ninth inning at home, the bottom of the ninth or the top of the ninth if we were losing, but I wouldn't throw on the road.
Exclusively a road thing. Why do you think that was?
Yeah. The game is different on the road. You gotta to get those outs in the bottom of the ninth or then the bottom of the 10th or the bottom of the 11th. Like it's a little bit different game.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes total sense to me. In regards to that All-Star weekend that you were a part of, you talked a lot about the home run derby and how you were a
hmm
fan of it. As a pitcher, being a fan of the home run derby, what is it about the derby that you think gets you, that you love so much that you don't love when you're pitching?
well, when I was a kid, it was just like watching Ken Griffey in the home run derby with the backwards hat and like everybody just chilling on the like in foul territory on the sidelines. Like as a kid, there was nothing I wanted to do more than to be there. You know what I mean? So just to be able to sit there and watch those guys go out there and do that was super special. But obviously, when I'm on the mound, I'm not trying to see homers, but it doesn't make it not fun to watch those guys hit balls to the moon, And I've been extremely blessed to play with some extremely talented hitters. So I've seen some balls hit really hard, and unfortunately, I've given up a couple that were pretty good. But the home run derby, man, the atmosphere. In my opinion, the home run derby is more fun than the All-Star game. Even like now to watch. I would
Absolutely.
rather watch the derby than the game.
I agree. Except for when Jazz Chisholm hits three homers. Like how
Yeah.
do you do that?
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's again, I've never done it, but I do think that the home run derby has evolved into a different type of home run derby than it used to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
Like,
the outs are gone, and now it's just
yeah,
like a
and
time
more
frame.
guys, yeah, more guys are like denying the opportunity to do it. Like they won't do it, so the uh more slim pickings, I guess, for guys to get in there and do it. But yeah, when I played with Ichiro in New York, I would watch him hit BP, and I don't know why he didn't do the home run derby every year, dude. That guy, his last round of BP every day, upper deck.
Ichiro is such a fun guy. I covered the Hall of Fame induction this summer, and I got to talk with him. And I asked him, playing across Japan and MLB for a very, very long time, what was the secret to playing so long? And he gave me the most simple answer ever. He said, because I loved it. And I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, I'm not going to post this. And I didn't post it until I think November, just because I was like, oh, this isn't worth posting. And then I'm like, actually, this is the most Ichiro answer probably ever.
yeah. He was a special character, dude. It was fun to be around him. Again, like man, when I was a rookie in the major leagues, the guys in the dugout in the locker room were all superstars. So I felt like I was in a movie.
I bet on that early Yankees team that you were on. Oh my goodness, all
Yeah.
the remnants from the '09 team.
Yeah,
Now there's none
exactly.
left with Robertson retiring. There's no '09
Yeah.
Yankees left.
Wow. And the whole league.
Whole league. Robertson was the final
Wow.
one
That's
because
crazy.
Guardy's gone, and obviously
Yeah.
Jeter was nearing the end, and Rivera was
Yeah.
nearing the end. Crazy.
That's crazy. I'm old, dude.
Your career, actually, when I look at it, I see five of the most historic teams in the league: Detroit, Atlanta, the Yankees, Dodgers, Cubs. What was it like being in all those environments, knowing the legacy that all of them leave behind, especially with New York, LA, and Chicago?
Um, it's crazy because this is what I try to tell people. It's like I it's all I know. Obviously, I've only played for teams like that, but I've been like looking back, I've been extremely blessed with the organizations I played for. And people ask me like when I'm live on TikTok or something, they'll ask me like who was my favorite team to play for, and it's like I can't even answer that question. Like I got to wear pinstripes and play next to Derek Jeter. I grew up a Braves fan. I got to play in Atlanta in a Braves uniform and meet Chipper Jones, who was my idol. I got to play in Detroit and we're the Old English D for 5 years and represent them in the All-Star game and play with Miguel Cabrera and Justin Verlander, like Detroit legends, right? And then I got to play in LA and be around, Kershaw and Mookie and Freddie again and all these guys. Uh, my time with the Cubs was short-lived, but um, I will say day games at Wrigley Field, the atmosphere of a day game at Wrigley Field, if you're a baseball fan, it's a must go. I don't care what team you're rooting for, just go to Wrigley Field for a day game.
I toured it when I went to Chicago about 2 years ago, and it truly, there's nothing like it. The
Mhm.
entire field, like even not on game day, just walking around it, it's remarkable.
No doubt.
Coming from Daytona State University, a place that not many people know very much, how does it feel to really put that school on your back and get drafted and have such a career like you did?
My freshman year, I went to the University of West Florida,
Mm,
and that is in Pensacola. It's a D2 school. I went there. I was like, I forget. Technically, I was a starter, but I was like the second in line for closer. So if our closer pitched a lot during the week, like I would be the closer on Sunday, basically.
gotcha.
And I pitched like 20 something innings, and I found out I needed Tommy John surgery. And when the team found out I needed Tommy John surgery, they took my scholarship away from me. And so when that happened, that's when I transferred to Daytona Beach. Well, it's called Daytona State College now, but when I transferred there was Daytona Beach Community College. I think the first year I was there was the first year it was a state college, but my entire life I'm from Orlando. It was Daytona Beach Community College, so that's what I've always called it. Anyway, so then I went there, but I couldn't play. I had Tommy John, so I was just rehabbing. But the coach at the school allowed me to go to the field and do like my throwing rehab there, but I wasn't on the team. So I
Mm,
never had to go to practice. The coach there when I was there, it was enforced that you had to wear collared shirts tucked in and sit in the front row of every classroom. Like I didn't have to do any of that. I wasn't on the team. Fast forward to the end of the school year, I'm now able to throw again. I've thrown a couple bullpens, and I knew a Yankee scout because when I was 10 years old, I used to go to him for hitting lessons. And so
mm.
then he became like a family friend. And I called him and basically asked him like, "Hey, do you mind watching me throw a bullpen and talk to some universities in Central Florida because I'm going to play in this collegiate wood bat league during the summer. I would like to get on the scholarship again if I can because Daytona Beach had given me a walk-on spot, but I was paying for school, right? So I'm like, if I
Yeah.
can get a scholarship, why wouldn't I get a scholarship? So, anyways, I called him. He's like, yeah, whatever. Come back to Claremont, throw a bullpen. So I went and I threw a bullpen for him, and that was the first time in my life I've thrown over 89, and I was 90-92.
Woo.
And then 2 weeks after that, I went to the complex in Tampa and faced some of their extended spring training guys, and I was 92, 94, and I punched out two guys. And then like 10 days later, they drafted me.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How about that? Tommy John gaining velocity and then just
Yeah.
ripping it and getting a team like that.
Yeah. So the first time I faced hitters after Tommy John was at the Yankee complex after only throwing four bullpens.
Holy
after
cow.
surgery,
That's
and I just
crazy.
went straight into the game. And
Uh,
next thing you know, I'm drafted.
there you go. That's how it all started. My final question for you is going to be if people were to look back at your career, if they were to look up Shane Greene on Baseball Reference on Google, if they could only remember your career by one thing, what would it be?
Good teammate. Like I took well, two things: good teammate, and I'll pitch every day. I took a lot of pride in being there for my teammates, and uh, making sure that they would want to go to war with somebody like me. And then I took even more pride in being available every day. You can ask anybody I've ever played with. I'm not going to ask for a day off. And if you don't want me to pitch, you're going to have to like sit me down and tell me I'm not pitching. Because if you come ask me how I feel, I'm going to say good.
Ready to go.
Yeah, I'm never going to tell you how I really feel. So if you don't want me to pitch, then don't let me. But other than that, you're wasting your time asking me if I'm available today.
Love that. Love that. Any final words before we sign off?
I appreciate you, man, and keep going with your podcast stuff, dude.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Excited for you. If there's anything I can ever do for you or do another pod or whatever, man, holler at me.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. That's going to do it here. Episode 74 of the Playoff Push Podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm your host, Jack Dobbins, and have a great rest of your day.